The question I get asked a lot, and you must get it too, is how do you deal with? So you take a car,
Yeah.
and you take the engine out, you put electric motor in.
Yeah.
How do you keep its V5, and how do you register for it road? Does it need an MOT? Does it need to go through what kind of testing and certification? Can you explain a little bit about that? Because
So the rule,
especially the thing you told me before, is amazing.
yeah. So the rules and regulations are quite clear with the DVLA. There is what's called the radically altered point system. And, there's a certain amount of points for things like if you modify the chassis or the monocoque of the vehicle, or if you replace the engine or gearbox, etc. All those have a certain amount of points. And as long as you've got 8 points or more or less, is it? I can't remember. But eight is the watershed. As long as you've got 8 points, that's fine. You've not modified it that much, and you keep your number plate. But what will happen with a car that's got a modified chassis, for instance, let's say that we drill holes or weld on some brackets to hold the battery box in place, then you've modified the chassis. And then you need to go for an IVA test, and you'll end up on Q plates. But, and here's the big but, that's fine, and we work within those rules. So, whenever we convert a car, everything we do, from the motor, the battery box, everything bolts into the existing infrastructure, like on the Ferrari Testarossa, their engine, the motor and the battery box bolts into the existing engine and gearbox mounts. But if you start drilling holes and welding on stuff onto the monocoque or the chassis, off to the IVA and Q plates you go. However, what does that mean if you put a roll cage in? Well, according to the DVLA, and they can confirm this, if you put a weld-in or bolt-in roll cage into a car, you are supposed to have an IVA, and that car should be on Q plates. Now, not a lot of people know that.
No.
But that's the rules. That is the black and white rules of modifications. For instance, if you've got a car that never had seatbelts in, and there's lots of classic cars that don't, and you drill some holes to put seatbelts in, put the spreader plates in, off for an IVA and Q plates you go. And I have written confirmation from the DVLA that this is the case. But as we know, because I've never seen a rally car with a Q plate, that's just not the way it works. But if you convert a car to electric, the reason why we have to be whiter than white is because if you change the fuel type, you have to send off the V5 to the DVLA to say, hey, please change the fuel type from petrol or diesel to electric. And that then triggers the DVLA to send out an inspector to go and inspect the car and just make sure we've abided by the rules. Which means that nobody who's ever put a roll cage in a car has ever told the DVLA that I'll put a roll cage in the car, because it's not on the V5.
Wow.
So that's the rules. So we're white and white. And
nope.
And bear in mind, the kind of guys we work with,
yeah,
I know a couple of people have got cages in cars.
I've got a cage in mine, not a welded one. It's bolted in.
Yeah, that's
existing thing.
Oh, and you am too?
Yeah, even though but it's not welded.
It doesn't matter.
You've
drilled holes.
No, we haven't. No. It uses existing like seat where the seat was bolted in.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
if you've not drilled any holes in the monocoque shell or welded it in, then you're fine.
Okay.
Joe's like, keep a private plate on there.
That's not how most, bear in mind, I've been in rallying for a while as well. It's not just roll cages, but one of the first things you do on a rally car is essentially, especially on an Escort, you start, welding in strut mounts, and, there's loads of
stiffening plates in
that. According to the DVLA, any modifications like that, Q plates, the car should go for IVA and Q plates.
I think we're quite lucky I've got a lot of German friends and subscribers and stuff. I'm sure we're all aware of this. But over there, they're, what's it called? Their TÜV
approval.
I mean, you can't change a valve cap out there without, like, literally, in the police, especially around somewhere like the Nürburgring, police set up massive stings all the time and pull over every single car that might sound or look slightly different. And if you don't have the paperwork to back up the fact that you're running an aftermarket suspension, if it's not TÜV related, then the whole car gets taken away.
So you can still modify it. You just have to get
yes,
to the ring. There's modified cars.
Yeah, but it has to be TÜV, and I think you have to pay. okay, over here you tell your insurers, obviously you've got to do that there, but I think you have to, there's a certain price and everything.
Any upgrades are TÜV approved.
Yeah.
So, for instance, whenever I'm putting disc brakes on, VW, for instance, I usually get TÜV approved disc brake kits from Germany, because you know that those disc brakes have been tested by TÜV to be, good quality, and they're going to work, rather than somebody that's engineered something in the shed in, wherever. So I always get TÜV approved, because it's a good stamp of it's good quality and it's been tested to a German standard. So that's what you mean by the TÜV approved sort of like aftermarket parts.
Yeah.
So, so those are the rules and regulations around what we do. And there's another rule and regulation, if you like, called for EV conversions, called R100. So if you go off for an IVA test, part of the IVA test, if you built an electric car, let's say like a electric Caterham, for instance, your electric drivetrain would be tested to something that's called R100 Rev 1. For things like isolation testing, so that there's no high voltage getting down to the chassis and things like that. So we build our cars to those standards, which we don't have to, because they're not rules or the law yet. They will be. But we build our cars to that standard, and also abide by the rules and regulations of the modified vehicles sort of thing. So all of our cars are registered as electric. The exception to that, which is really bizarre, is any car that is registered from 2001 onwards. The DVLA cannot change the taxation class to anything other than what it was when it came from the factory. So even though a Land Rover Defender, say 2010 Defender, is converted to electric, the DVLA will refuse to change it to electric in the logbook, which is insane. I don't get that.
So you still have to
nobody can give me an answer as to why. It's a computer says no type of thing.
Wow. So you still pay road tax?
Yeah, but every EV is going to pay road tax from next year onwards anyway. So there's not much benefit to it. But isn't it stupid that there is bureaucracy and systems that just can't cope with innovation? Innovation always works faster than bureaucracy. It's just a given thing. But at some point, some of those systems needs to catch up, and it just takes too long in my mind for systems to catch up in the UK.
Wow.
Sorry, I'll get off my high.
No, I totally agree.
Sorry, DVLA, I still love you.